Tell me, Sarah, what are the issues that can arise when you dismiss an employee?
There are two main issues. If you dismiss an employee without giving them the correct notice, they can bring a claim for wrongful dismissal. And that's simply a contractual claim based on their contract of employment. The law also has something called unfair dismissal, and that looks at the fairness of what you did. It has nothing to do with the contract of employment, but just whether or not the employer acted reasonably.
What are the fair reasons for dismissal?
In simple terms, there's 5 potential fair reasons for dismissal. Conduct, so that looks at your behaviour, things like fighting or lateness. Capability, that looks at things like ill health or whether or not you're actually up to doing the job. Redundancy. There can be a statutory reason, and that would be circumstances where, for example, your work permit's expired. And then there's a catch-all situation called some other substantial reason, and that looks at the overall fairness of the situation where it doesn't fall into one of the other categories that I've mentioned.
So what do we mean by acting reasonably?
An employer has to follow a fair procedure and have one of the 5 potentially fair reasons for dismissal. An employment tribunal will not substitute its own view for that of the employer, but will look at whether or not they acted reasonably having regard to the size of that employer and the type of industry that it's in.
Where do employers most often go wrong?
They fail to follow their own procedures, or sometimes they will dress up a dismissal as a redundancy when it isn't a genuine redundancy situation. They'll also sometimes dismiss an employee for misconduct where they've caught the employee red-handed, but they haven't gone through a dismissal procedure first. Other difficult areas for employers to deal with are ill health. Often employers get it wrong because they haven't managed the ill health issues properly to begin with, and they don't get proper medical evidence and they don't give proper warnings.
Can mistakes be avoided?
It's quite easy to avoid mistakes if you follow the right procedures and employees understand what's expected of them.
How can Moonbeaver solicitors help employers avoid mistakes?
We can help you prepare your policies and procedures, we can train your staff, and we may be able to offer you insurance in the event that a claim is brought against you.